Hey everyone, it's Wes, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Mayor of Kingstown and Tulsa King, which are two shows streaming on Paramount Plus currently. One finished earlier this year, The Mayor of Kingstown, and the other one, Tulsa King, still has a few episodes left. They're both on Paramount Plus, and they're both available to stream currently. A question was brought up into the group recently about Tulsa King versus Mayor of Kingstown, which one was better. What was basically said was, although they're both considered good shows, Tulsa King wins out. I have a different opinion, and I'd like to go into it a little bit and tell you why. First off, for the uninitiated, let me give you a little background on both shows if I can. Mayor of Kingstown came out in 2021. It stars Jeremy Renner as Mike McCluskey, and he is the de facto mayor of Kingstown through most of the show. It takes place in Michigan, where, like a lot of other states, prison is the big business. He operates as some kind of go-between bagman handler that helps out the police, the guards, in negotiating with the felons and the convicts that are locked up. His brother, played by the always reliable Kyle Chandler, is Mitch McCluskey. And I don't want to give away a whole lot of spoilers, but it wouldn't be such a reach to let you know that ultimately there's only one mayor of this Kingstown. Now, what he and his brothers do, operating between both law enforcement and the criminals, is just to kind of keep things on an even keel. This is an interesting premise, and it's not one I've seen a whole bunch of times. There's not a lot made of the McCluskeys and exactly how they came into it, except that it's some sort of a family business that they all fall into. Interestingly enough, there's a third brother played by Taylor Handley, and he is Kyle McCluskey, and he's an active duty detective. Jeremy Renner, again playing Mike, he's out of the three, he's an actual ex-felon, and there's not a lot given of his past and where he comes from and how he came to be and the kind of situations that he's in. All you know off the bat is that at some point he did time, and at some point he got his rights back to carry a firearm, which is pretty interesting. Both he and his brother, that are not active duty policemen, work as confidential informants for the feds, but they don't make a secret of it. So I don't know what you call a confidential informant that's not confidential, but that's what they do. Everybody that's in law enforcement is aware of the deals that they make with the criminals. All the criminals are aware of the deals that they make with the cops. They wear suits, they carry firearms, and for the most part, they just sort of put out little fires that happen. They've got all sorts of allegiances between the two, where Kyle Chandler's character Mitch sort of leans more towards the police, and Jeremy Renner's character Mike sort of leans more towards the convicts and the felons. They deal with both criminals on the inside and the outside of the prison facilities. The question was raised in our critical drinker group the other day that possibly Tulsa King fares a little bit better than Mayor of Kingstown. I disagree, and throughout this I'd like to explain why. So switching over to Tulsa King, for the uninitiated, I'll talk about that for a second. If you don't know, that's Sly Stallone himself coming to TV for the first time in, I don't know, I think maybe the first time ever. He plays a mafia capo from New York that's sort of banished when he gets out of prison to the Midwest in Oklahoma, Tulsa specifically, hence the name, to kind of set up operations out there. It's pretty simple, cut and dried on that one. In fact, I've seen a comment that it's basically the premise to Grand Theft Auto Vice City put in the Midwest in modern day. And I wouldn't disagree with that. That's pretty close. But I will say it's more of a slow burn type show. Almost all of the other actors that are in Tulsa King are your bargain basement variety C-listers, maybe B-listers, a couple. You have Annabelle Sciorra playing his sister, Dominic Lombazardi that plays one of the mafia dons. Not very many other people are going to be recognizable. Andrea Savage plays a law enforcement officer and his on-again, off-again love interest. But for the most part, it's people you don't see a whole bunch. It's basically Sly Stallone's show. And for the first couple episodes, it runs that way. But I will tell you this, at the end of the second episode, if you can hang in there, it's a great show. Now, what's the difference between these two programs? Well, they're both on Paramount Plus, and they're both created by Taylor Sheridan, who is amazing. He created Yellowstone. He was an actor for a little bit on Sons of Anarchy and wrote for that show as well. If you've never heard of Taylor Sheridan, I don't know what you're doing with your life, because he's come out with some amazing products. Most of the things that he touches are pretty well done. They're gritty. They usually center around some sort of criminal element and law enforcement element going up against each other. I'd be hard-pressed to come up with any of his projects that aren't superb in some way or another. I've not been disappointed. He came up with 1883, Yellowstone, and several other movies and TV shows that you could probably Google and look at some of the stuff that he's done. It's pretty awesome. Well, he created these two shows. I lean towards the end of the Mayor of Kingstown spectrum, and I'm going to explain why. First of all, it's just a better show. They have better actors. They're all believable performances. Whereas on Tulsa King, except for Sly, they're all sort of caricatures of the kind of people that they're supposed to be in there. Both the bad guys and the good guys. Most of the people that you watch, most of the motivations that they have, they don't make a lot of sense. There's not a lot of follow through. Now, to be fair, Tulsa King is still not a completed series yet. It comes out every Sunday night, and there's still 3 or 4 episodes left in this season. So it may pick up. It's picked up so far, and I'm not disappointed with it. But again, it has a pacing issue. Now, conversely, Mayor of Kingstown has no pacing issues. Right from the very beginning of the show, you know pretty much who everybody is. You know their motivations. There's not a lot of exposition, and they're rock and roll right from jump. There's a lot of heavy-duty action, a lot of heavy-duty violence. There's a group of SWAT team that works and operates within the city and the state in Michigan. They operate inside and outside of the prison. They're brutal. Their tactics are brutal, and that's the kind of thing I like to see. Also, you have Jeremy Renner's performance, and there's a couple little winks and nods at his Avengers character that I really liked. But for the most part, it's something you really haven't seen him do before. And interestingly enough, you don't know a lot about his background, but at the same time, you kind of know exactly who this guy is. He gets a little bit more fleshed out throughout the season, but I like a little bit of mystery when you don't really know everything about the character. Now, conversely, you go to Tulsa King with Sly Stallone's character. You know everything about him immediately within the first 20 minutes of the show. And that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. It's just that I don't see where it is that they're going with that. Now, some of the arguments that were brought up about Mayor of Kingstown was it had such an explosive finale, and I'm not going to spoil anything, that there's really nowhere for the show to go. I don't know about that. They left a lot of open-ended plot threads that could still be explored in the next season, and I'm really excited to look forward to it. You look at Tulsa King, like I said before, the pacing is all off. I don't really have a problem with a slow burn, but at the same time, it takes so long to get where it's going. And some of the stuff that Sly gets into, some of his schemes and plots and the things that he does are so unbelievable. There's just no way. It lacks a lot of realism. Now again, maybe that's fine. If that's your cup of tea, you prefer the more mafia angle, I don't have a problem with that. Me, myself, I like the grittiness of Mayor of Kingstown, whereas Tulsa King, even though it has some gritty subject matter, it tends to be more of a bright show. It has a little bit more of a sense of humor. Maybe that works for you better. I don't know. I will admit that Mayor of Kingstown's pretty grim. There's not a lot of happy-go-lucky episodes, but that's not really the kind of thing that I like to look at. I don't really need things to have a nice bow on them and a happy ending. Again, as I said, I come out on the end of Mayor of Kingstown. Those are my reasons. If you're looking for some entertainment, I mean, I would definitely recommend watching both shows. As far as what I'm looking forward to, I look forward to every Sunday night when Tulsa King comes out. But I can tell you for a fact that I binge watched all of Mayor of Kingstown in, I think, less than 2 days, over a weekend for sure. And I couldn't take my eyes off it, and I've rewatched it twice since then, so if that tells you anything. So again, as far as that goes, I'm going to give Mayor of Kingstown 4.5 out of 5, and a tentative 3.5, maybe edging towards 4 out of 5 for Tulsa King. Just given the fact that it still hasn't finished yet, so they might finish strong at the end of the season and wrap up a lot of these loose threads that they have going on. So that's it. That's where I come out. Let me know what you think.